Picture this. A successful businessman walks into the office of the world's most legendary car maker. He's got a complaint about a faulty clutch. Simple, right? But instead of getting help, he gets humiliated. The automotive titan dismisses him with 5 brutal words. Stick to your tractors, farmer. That businessman, Ferruccio Lamborghini, the man who insulted him, Enzo Ferrari. And that single moment of disrespect, it ignited one of the most spectacular revenge stories in business history. Within just 7 months, Lamborghini would launch a car company from nothing. Within 3 years, he'd create a vehicle that made Ferrari's engineers sweat. And today, the brand born from that insult is valued at over $20 billion, actually surpassing Ferrari's valuation in certain metrics. But here's what makes this story truly fascinating. Lamborghini didn't set out to build cars. He had zero experience in automotive manufacturing. He was literally a tractor maker. Yet rage, resourcefulness, and an encyclopedic knowledge of machinery transformed that farmer insult into an empire that would redefine what a supercar could be. If you're intrigued by how one moment of disrespect can spark a billion-dollar revenge mission, you're going to want to stay with me through this entire story. Hit that like button and subscribe to The Sleeping Economist, because we uncover the financial mysteries that shaped our world while everyone else was sleeping. Chapter 1. The tractor king Ferruccio Lamborghini was born on April 28, 1916, in Renasso, a small farming village in northern Italy. His father, Antonio, grew grapes and tended vineyards, hoping young Ferruccio would inherit the family trade. But the boy had different plans. While his siblings worked the fields, Ferruccio dismantled farm equipment in the barn, studying how engines worked. By age 10, he could diagnose a broken tractor engine just by listening to it. His hands were always covered in grease, his mind always calculating gear ratios and combustion cycles. World War II interrupted his education, but it gave him something more valuable: experience. Stationed with the Italian Air Force on the island of Rhodes, he became a vehicle maintenance supervisor. When parts were impossible to get, he improvised. He once kept an entire motor pool running by cannibalizing broken vehicles to create working ones. That's where he learned his most important business lesson. With enough ingenuity, you don't need permission or resources, you need solutions. After the war, Italy was devastated. But Ferruccio saw opportunity in the rubble. The military had abandoned warehouses full of surplus vehicles and equipment, bought them for almost nothing, hauled them back to his father's barn, and began converting military machines into civilian tractors. In 1948, he founded Lamborghini Trattori. His timing was perfect. The Marshall Plan was pumping money into Italy. Farming was mechanizing. Everyone needed tractors, and Ferruccio's machines were reliable, affordable, and clever. He didn't just sell tractors, he invented features that made them easier to use. Heated cabins, better hydraulics, more efficient fuel systems. By the late 1950s, Lamborghini Trattori was producing over 400 tractors per year and employed nearly 400 people. Ferruccio became wealthy. His net worth climbed past the equivalent of $100 million. And like any newly rich Italian industrialist with gasoline in his veins, Ferruccio developed a passion for fast cars. He bought Alfa Romeos, Maseratis, Jaguars, but his favorites were Ferraris. He owned several, including a 250 GT. He loved how they performed, but he hated how often they broke down. The problem was always the same: the clutch. Ferrari used the same clutch manufacturer that Lamborghini used in his tractors. Ferruccio recognized the parts immediately. The clutches would slip. They'd overheat. They'd need replacing after just a few thousand kilometers. For most Ferrari owners, this was just the price of owning a temperamental Italian exotic. But Ferruccio wasn't most owners. He was an engineer who understood transmissions intimately. And he knew these clutches were failing because Ferrari wasn't using them correctly. The application was wrong. The installation was flawed. So in early 1963, Ferruccio Lamborghini decided to do what any knowledgeable customer would do. He drove to Maranello to speak directly with Enzo Ferrari about improving his product. He had no idea that decision would change automotive history. Chapter 2. The insult that sparked an empire. Enzo Ferrari was 75 years old in 1963. A legendary figure in motorsport. He'd built his company from nothing, survived wars and financial disasters, and created some of the most beautiful racing machines ever made. He was il commendatore. The commander and people didn't criticize him, they worshipped him. So when Ferruccio Lamborghini, a tractor manufacturer, showed up at his factory with suggestions about how to improve Ferrari clutches, Enzo's reaction was swift and brutal. According to multiple accounts, including testimony from people present that day, Enzo Ferrari listened to Lamborghini's complaint for perhaps 30 seconds before cutting him off. His response, delivered with aristocratic contempt, went something like this: "The problem is not the car. The problem is the driver. You're a tractor driver. You don't know how to handle a Ferrari properly. Let me make cars. You stick to making tractors, farmer?" The word farmer wasn't a neutral descriptor. It was a class insult. The social divide between an industrial titan like Enzo Ferrari and an agricultural equipment manufacturer was significant. Enzo was essentially saying, "You're beneath me. You're rural. You're unsophisticated. Go back where you belong." Ferruccio walked out of that meeting humiliated but calculating. Multiple sources describe him driving back to Sant'Agata Bolognese in complete silence, his jaw clenched, his mind racing. By the time he arrived home, he'd made a decision that seemed absolutely insane. He was going to build his own car company. And not just any car company, he would build grand touring cars that would make Ferrari look second-rate. Think about how audacious this was. Lamborghini had never designed a car. He had no automotive engineers on staff. He had no styling department, no racing pedigree, no dealer network, no brand recognition in the automotive world. But he had three advantages Ferrari didn't expect. First, unlimited cash flow from his tractor empire, which was generating millions in annual revenue. Second, an engineer's understanding of what made Ferrari's cars flawed. They were racing cars modified for the street, which made them uncomfortable and unreliable. Third, and most important, Ferruccio had rage-fueled motivation that money simply can't buy. Within days of the insult, he began recruiting. And here's where Ferruccio showed strategic genius. He didn't try to invent automotive expertise from scratch. He simply bought it. His first hire was Giotto Bizzarin, a brilliant engineer who'd just left Ferrari after a famous internal dispute. Bizzarin had designed the legendary Ferrari 250 GT, widely considered one of the greatest sports cars ever made. He understood Ferrari's engineering intimately because he'd created much of it. Then Ferruccio recruited Gianpaolo Dallara, another ex-Ferrari engineer, and Paolo Stanzani, Gianpaolo Dallara for chassis design. In less than 3 months, Ferruccio Lamborghini had assembled a team of disgruntled Ferrari engineers who knew exactly how Enzo's cars were built and exactly how to build something better. The revenge machine was taking shape. Chapter 3. 7 months to launch. The timeline that followed was absolutely insane by automotive standards. Today, car companies spend 5 to 7 years developing a new model. Lamborghini gave himself 7 months. He established Automobili Lamborghini SpA on May 7, 1963. With headquarters in Sant'Agata, Bologna's deliberately chosen because it was only 30 kilometers from Ferrari's factory in Maranello. Ferruccio wanted Enzo to feel his presence. The team worked with military urgency. Bizzarin designed a quad-cam V12 engine from scratch, not a modified tractor engine, not a borrowed design, but a completely original 12-cylinder masterpiece. It displaced 3.5 liters and produced 360 horsepower, comparable to Ferrari's racing engines, but designed for reliability and smoothness rather than racing. Dallara designed a tubular steel chassis. Franco Scaglione penned the exterior styling. Every component was engineered to address what Ferruccio saw as Ferrari's failures. The clutch was robust and properly matched to the transmission. The interior was luxurious and comfortable, with air conditioning, leather everywhere, and sound deadening. This wasn't a race car with license plates. It was a sophisticated gentleman's grand tourer. On October 30th, 1963, just 5 months after founding the company, Lamborghini unveiled the 350 GTV prototype at the Turin Auto Show. The automotive press was stunned. How had a tractor maker produced a legitimate Ferrari competitor in less than 6 months? Journalists expected a crude kit car. Instead, they found sophisticated engineering wrapped in gorgeous bodywork. The engine note was glorious. The fit and finish was impeccable. There were problems, of course. The prototype's engine wasn't completely finished. Some reports suggest There were literally bricks in the engine bay for weight balance during the show. The styling was dramatic, but needed refinement. But the core concept was proven. Lamborghini could build a world-class GT car. Ferruccio spent the next 4 months perfecting the design. The production version, renamed the 350 GT, debuted at the Geneva Motor Show in March 1964. Production began in May 1964, exactly 1 year after Enzo Ferrari had dismissed Ferruccio as a farmer. The 350 GT was everything Ferrari wasn't. It was comfortable on long drives. It didn't overheat in traffic. The clutch was bulletproof. It was quieter, smoother, and more refined. Road testers praised it as the most civilized supercar ever made. And most importantly, it was fast, genuinely fast. The 350 GT could reach 158 miles per hour, matching Ferrari's top speeds, while being far more usable as a daily driver. Orders came in immediately. By the end of 1964, Lamborghini had sold 30 units, a stunning achievement for a brand that didn't exist 18 months earlier. Production would eventually reach 120 units over 2 years, each one hand-built and profitable. Ferruccio's revenge wasn't theoretical anymore. It was parked in driveways across Europe, with a raging bull badge on the hood, a direct challenge to Ferrari's prancing horse. Chapter 4. The Miura changes everything. If the 350 GT proved Lamborghini could compete with Ferrari, the Miura proved they could surpass them entirely. In 1965, 3 of Lamborghini's young engineers, Gian Paolo Dallara, Paolo Stanzani, and Bob Wallace, started an unauthorized project. They wanted to build something truly revolutionary, a mid-engine supercar with the V12 mounted transversely behind the driver. No production car had ever done this. It would completely transform weight distribution, handling, and performance. They worked on the project in secret, essentially during lunch breaks and after hours. When they finally showed Ferruccio their prototype chassis in 1965, he was initially skeptical. Mid-engine designs were for race cars, not street vehicles. But when they explained the theoretical performance benefits, his engineer's brain took over. He gave them permission to continue. They brought in Marcello Gondini from Bertoni to design the body. Gondini created something that looked like it had been beamed down from the future. Low, wide, sensuous curves with pop-up headlights and air intakes that resembled eyelashes. The name came from a legendary fighting bull, Miura. When the Miura debuted at the 1966 Geneva Motor Show, it caused absolute pandemonium. Journalists literally ran to the Lamborghini stand. Ferrari's executives stood at their own booth watching the crowd swarm their competitor. The Miura wasn't just beautiful, it was a technical statement that mid-engine design was the future of supercars. With 350 horsepower and a curb weight of only 2,850 pounds, the Miura could reach 170 miles per hour, making it the fastest production car in the world. It hit 60 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds, stunning numbers for 1966. But the Miura's importance went beyond numbers. It established Lamborghini as an innovator, not an imitator. Ferrari had been building front-engine V12 GT cars for decades. Lamborghini just proved that formula was obsolete. The automotive world divided into before Miura and after Miura. Every subsequent supercar, from Ferrari's own mid-engine models to the Porsche 911 Turbo to modern McLarens, owes its layout to the Miura's pioneering design. Between 1966 and 1973, Lamborghini built 764 Miuras. Each one was profitable. Each one was a masterpiece. And each one made Ferrari's traditional front-engine cars look old-fashioned. Enzo Ferrari never publicly acknowledged Lamborghini's success, but his actions spoke louder than words. In 1968, Ferrari began developing their own mid-engine road car, the 365 GT4B, specifically to compete with the Miura. It wouldn't be released until 1973, 7 years after the Miura debuted. That delay tells you everything. Ferrari, with decades of racing experience and massive budgets, needed 7 years to respond to a tractor maker's innovation. And by the time Ferrari's mid-engine car hit the market, Lamborghini had already moved on to their next revolution, the Countach. With its now iconic scissor doors and wedge-shaped design that defined the 1970s and 80s, Ferruccio Lamborghini had done what seemed impossible. He'd turned Enzo Ferrari's insult into an advantage, channeling disrespect into engineering excellence that changed the entire supercar industry. Chapter 5. Building a Legacy. Ferruccio. Lamborghini's personal involvement with the car company ended in 1974 when financial difficulties forced him to sell his remaining stake. The oil crisis, labor strikes, and the agricultural equipment downturn hit simultaneously. Walked away from the automotive business entirely, returning to winemaking and other ventures. But the brand he created out of spite, it not only survived. After passing through several owners, Lamborghini was acquired by Audi, part of Volkswagen Group, in 1998. Under German ownership with Italian soul, Lamborghini transformed from a boutique exotic car maker into a global powerhouse. The numbers are staggering. In 2024, Lamborghini delivered 10,687 vehicles and recorded revenue of €3.09 billion, the first time the company exceeded €3 billion in annual revenue. Their operating income hit €835 million, a profit margin that would make even Ferrari jealous. Current analyst valuations place Lamborghini's worth at approximately €19.7 billion, over $20 billion. To put that in perspective, that's roughly equal to Ferrari's valuation in certain financial metrics. A stunning achievement for the brand that started as a farmer's revenge project. Lamborghini now employs over 2,000 people in Sant'Agata Bolognese. Their factory has expanded multiple times. They operate dealerships in over 50 countries. And the Raging Bull logo has become one of the most recognizable symbols in the world, equally at home on bedroom posters, pop lyrics, and the driveways of billionaires. That attitude, that refusal to be restrained or traditional, comes directly from Ferruccio's original mission. He didn't want to build cars that whispered elegance. He wanted to build cars that screamed, "I told you so." And what about Enzo Ferrari? He died in 1988, never publicly acknowledging Lamborghini's success. But in private moments, when asked about competitors, Enzo would reportedly say that he only worried about the horse, the bull, and the trident, referring to Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Maserati. Chapter 6. The Economics of Revenge. So what can we learn from Ferruccio Lamborghini's billion-dollar grudge match? Because this isn't just a feel-good story about proving someone wrong. It's a masterclass in strategic business thinking under emotional pressure. First lesson: revenge is expensive, but strategic revenge can be profitable. Ferruccio didn't just build a car to spite Ferrari and then abandon it. He built an entire business infrastructure designed to generate sustainable profits. He knew that the best revenge wasn't a single perfect curate, it was a company that would outlive both him and Enzo. Constantly reminding the world that the farmer could compete at the highest level. Second lesson: don't try to beat competitors at their own game. Change the game entirely. Lamborghini didn't try to outrace Ferrari at Le Mans or build a better Formula One car. He recognized that Ferrari's weakness was street usability, so he built comfortable, reliable, luxurious Grand Tours that happened to be fast. He competed in a category where Ferrari was vulnerable. Third lesson: leverage your unfair advantages. Ferruccio's unfair advantage wasn't automotive expertise, it was industrial manufacturing knowledge and cash flow from his tractor business. He knew how to scale production, manage supply chains, and run profitable factories. Those transferable skills mattered more than automotive pedigree. Fourth lesson: hire mercenaries with insider knowledge. By recruiting ex-Ferrari engineers, Ferruccio didn't just get talented people, he got intelligence. He knew Ferrari's design, philosophy, manufacturing processes, supplier relationships, and weaknesses. That knowledge compressed Lamborghini's learning curve from decades into months. Fifth lesson: timing matters more than perfection. Lamborghini launched an imperfect product in 7 months, rather than a perfect product in 7 years. That speed gave him market presence before Ferrari could respond. In competitive markets, momentum beats perfection. Sixth lesson: turn your opponent's contempt into your brand identity. Ferrari dismissed him as a farmer, as unsophisticated as an outsider. So Lamborghini leaned into it. He made his cars louder, more dramatic, more aggressive. He built tractors in the morning and supercars in the afternoon. That authenticity became the brand's DNA. But here's the most important lesson: emotional fuel only gets you started. You still need business fundamentals to succeed. But what made Lamborghini succeed long-term was everything else. Sound engineering, quality control, dealer relationships, financial management, continuous innovation, and building a team that shared his vision. Dozens of Ferrari killer companies have launched over the decades. Di Damaso, Iso, Pizzerina's own brand, even Tucker before them. Most failed within years. Lamborghini survived because Ferruccio understood that vindication required profitability. If stories like this, where we uncover the economic events that shaped our world while most people weren't paying attention, fascinate you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, because we're just getting started with these financial, educational mysteries.